The Harrison Building towered over downtown Chicago, its steel and glass facade reflecting the morning sun. I sat in my private car across the street, watching board members of Harrison Industries file into the lobby, each one dressed in expensive suits, carrying leather briefcases, radiating the self-importance that came with serving on my family's board. My father would be arriving last, of course. Michael Harrison always had to make an entrance. "Are you ready for this, Ms. Harrison?" my driver asked, catching my eye in the rearview mirror. I smiled, smoothing my Channel suit. "I've been ready for this moment for 8 years, James. 8 years since my father had stood in his mahogany-paneled office and declared me unworthy of the family legacy. 8 years of careful planning, silent acquisitions, and patient waiting. Today it would all pay off." The memory of that day still burned clear as crystal. I'd been 24, armed with an MBA from Stanford and ideas about modernizing Harrison Industries for the digital age. "The company needs to adapt," I'd argued, spreading market research across his desk. "We're losing market share to more innovative competitors if we don't embrace new technology." "Enough." My father's hand had slammed down, scattering my carefully prepared presentations. "Harrison Industries has thrived for 3 generations doing things the traditional way. We don't need your Silicon Valley nonsense." My brother Marcus had smirked from his position by the window. At 28, he was already being groomed as the next CEO, despite having none of my qualifications or vision. "Face it, Emma," he drawled. "You're not cut out for this business. Why don't you go start a blog or something? Leave the real work to people who understand it." I'd stood my ground, hands trembling but voice steady. "The market is changing, if we don't change with it." I said enough. My father's face had turned that dangerous shade of red that always preceded his worst outbursts. "You want to change things? You want to modernize? Fine. Buy your own company, because you'll never have a say in this one." The next day, my office had been cleared out. My board position, granted as a courtesy to the CEO's daughter, was revoked. My access to company files terminated. They thought they were ending my story. Instead, they were starting it. I took the elevator to my private office in a neighboring building. Not Harrison Industries' outdated headquarters, but a modern space filled with cutting-edge technology, the kind my father had dismissed as unnecessary. "Morning, Ms. Blake," my assistant greeted me, using the name I'd adopted to hide my identity these past 8 years. The final share transfers were confirmed overnight. "You now own 52% of Harrison Industries' voting stock." I nodded, scanning the documents she handed me. 8 years of careful moves, buying shares through shell companies, working through intermediaries. My father and brother had been so busy protecting the company from obvious threats, they never noticed the quiet accumulation of power happening right under their noses. "Has the board been notified of the emergency meeting?" "Yes, ma'am. They're gathering now. Your father is quite agitated about not knowing the buyer's identity." I allowed myself a small smile. "I imagine he is." My phone buzzed. Marcus calling. I let it go to voicemail, already knowing what he'd say. The same thing he'd been saying since the mysterious share acquisitions began. That he'd find who was behind it. That no one could take Harrison Industries from the Harrison family. He had no idea his own sister had already done exactly that. I checked my appearance one last time in the reflection of my office window. Gone was the eager young woman with dreams of modernizing her family's company. In her place stood someone harder. Someone who learned that sometimes you have to break something completely to rebuild it properly. "The car's waiting," my assistant announced. "Are you ready to face them?" I picked up my briefcase, containing documents that would remake Harrison Industries from the ground up. I've been ready for 8 years. The drive to Harrison Industries took exactly 6 minutes. In that time, I thought about everything that had led to this moment. The nights spent studying market patterns while my father and brother attended charity galas. The careful cultivation of allies in the business world who never knew my real identity. The fortune I'd built independently just so I could finally take back what should have been mine by right. My father had told me to buy my own company if I wanted to make changes. So I had. I just decided to buy his. As my car pulled up to the Harrison building, I saw my father's signature Mercedes already parked in his reserved spot. The CEO's spot. I smiled, knowing it wouldn't be his for much longer. The security guard nodded to me as I crossed the lobby. He didn't recognize the CEO's banished daughter in the confident woman striding past him. The elevator ride to the top floor gave me one last moment of reflection. I thought about the day after I'd been thrown out, when I'd sat in a small coffee shop planning my revenge. I could have exposed the company's weaknesses to competitors, could have gone to the press with insider knowledge of questionable practices, could have done any number of things to hurt them quickly. Instead, I'd chosen patience. I'd built my own technology company specialized in exactly the kinds of innovation Harrison Industries needed. I'd made it successful enough to fund my gradual acquisition of my family's company, and I'd done it all under a different name, becoming the kind of anonymous investor that my father feared most. The elevator doors opened onto the executive floor. Through the glass walls of the boardroom, I could see them all assembled. The old guard of Harrison Industries, with my father at the head of the table and Marcus at his right hand. My heels clicked against the marble floor as I approached the boardroom. 8 years of waiting. 8 years of planning. 8 years of letting them think they'd won. Time to show them how wrong they'd been. I pushed open the boardroom doors exactly at 9 o'clock. The conversation inside died instantly, all eyes turning to the unknown woman entering their sacred space. My father's face darkened with annoyance. He hated when anyone interrupted his meetings. "Excuse me," Marcus called out, "but this is a private board meeting." "Oh, I know exactly what this is," I replied smoothly, walking to the head of the table. "Emergency session call to discuss the recent acquisition of controlling shares in Harrison Industries by Blake Technologies." I set my briefcase down, enjoying their confused expressions. "I'm here to represent the buyer." My father stood up, his face reddening. "Now see here, we don't know who your employer thinks they are, but Harrison Industries is a family company." I corrected, finally allowing myself to smile. Harrison Industries was a family company, now it belongs to me. The room fell silent. Then Marcus laughed, sharp and dismissive. "You? And who exactly are you?" I turned to face them fully, watching as recognition slowly dawned in their eyes. "Don't you recognize me, big brother? 8 years is a long time, but surely you remember the sister you helped throw away." "Emma?" My father's voice cracked. He fell back into his chair, face draining of color. This is impossible." "Impossible?" I raised an eyebrow. Like modernizing the company was impossible? Like competing in the digital age was impossible? I opened my briefcase, pulling out documents. "I believe you told me to buy my own company if I wanted to make changes. So I did. I just decided to buy yours instead." Marcus lunged for the papers, scanning them with increasingly frantic eyes. "These acquisitions. Blake Technologies. You're Catherine Blake." "The same." I enjoyed watching him process this information. "The tech entrepreneur you've been dismissing as an upstart threat for the past 5 years? That was me. The innovative competitor stealing your market share, also me." My father found his voice again. "You can't do this. The board won't allow." "The board doesn't have a choice." I cut him off. "I own 52% of voting shares, acquired legally through various shell companies while you were too busy protecting yourself from obvious threats to notice the quiet ones." I nodded to my assistant, who began distributing folders to each board member. "Inside you'll find my plans for restructuring Harrison Industries. The company will be merged with Blake Technologies, bringing it into the modern era you fought so hard to avoid." "You destroy your own family's legacy," my father demanded. "No, father. I'm saving it. Your outdated methods were destroying it just fine without my help." I turned to address the board. "Harrison Industries has lost 40% of its market share in the past 5 years. Your technology is obsolete, your methods antiquated. Half your major clients have already quietly switched to firms using Blake Technologies systems." The board members shuffled uncomfortably, unable to deny the truth of my words. They'd watched our company's slow decline, too afraid of my father to speak up. "This is revenge," Marcus spat. "You're just bitter about being passed over." "Revenge?" I laughed. "Brother, if I wanted revenge, I would have sold our trade secrets to competitors. I would have exposed the questionable accounting practices you thought no one knew about. This isn't revenge, it's resurrection. I'm going to drag this company into the future, whether you like it or not." I stood at the head of the table, my father's position for so many years. "As of this moment, I am the new CEO of Harrison Industries. Father, your retirement will be announced this afternoon. Marcus, your position as CFO is terminated, effective immediately." My father surged to his feet. "You can't?" "I can, and I have." I met his eyes steadily. You told me I'd never be worthy of this company. Now I own it outright. Funny how life works out, isn't it? The next hour was a blur of legal documents, formal votes, and shell-shocked expressions. One by one, the board members signed off on my takeover, many of them hiding smiles. They'd seen this coming, even if my father hadn't. As the room cleared out, I remained at the table with my father and brother. The three Harrisons together for the first time in 8 years. How different the power dynamic was now. Why? My father finally asked, his voice smaller than I'd ever heard it. Why go to all this trouble? Why not just start your own company? I did start my own company, I reminded him. Blake Technologies is worth 3 times what Harrison Industries is. But this company, I looked around the boardroom, at the portraits of Harrison men on the walls. This company should have been my legacy too. You just couldn't see past your own outdated beliefs to recognize that. Marcus stood up, straightening his tie with trembling hands. So that's it? We're just out? You're out, I confirmed. But unlike you, I believe in merit over birthright. If you want to earn your way back in, you can apply for a junior position like anyone else. Start from the bottom, prove your worth. That's what I had to do. I watched them leave, my father stooped with defeat, Marcus practically running from the room. 8 years of watching them drive our family's company toward obsolescence, and finally I could stop them. My assistant entered with a glass of champagne. Congratulations, Ms. Harrison. Or should I still call you Ms. Blake? I smiled, picking up the glass. Harrison is fine now. I paid enough for the name. Might as well use it. The press release went out an hour later. Harrison Industries acquired by Blake Technologies. Prodigal daughter returns as CEO. My phone exploded with messages from relatives who'd shunned me 8 years ago, now suddenly remembering their dear cousin Emma. I ignored them all. That evening, I moved into my father's old office, my office now. I had the dark wood paneling torn out, replaced with glass walls that let in light. The portraits of Harrison men came down, replaced with screens showing real-time market data. The company my grandfather built, my father stagnated, and my brother nearly destroyed was finally moving into the future, and I was the one dragging it there. Sometimes at night, I look out from my office window at the city below. I think about that day 8 years ago, when they thought they were punishing me by denying me my inheritance. They didn't realize they were just motivating me to take it by force. The nameplate on my desk reads Emma Harrison, CEO. Below it, I keep the words my father spoke 8 years ago. You'll never be worthy of this company. I proved him wrong in the most absolute way possible. I didn't just become worthy of his company, I became worthy enough to take it from him. The view from the top isn't about looking down on those who hurt you. It's about looking forward to where you're going to take the company they thought you'd never have. And sometimes, the best revenge isn't just success. It's success so complete that they have to read about it in the Wall Street Journal while clearing out their corner offices. The daughter they said would never be worthy now owns every share they ever had. That's not just revenge. That's